now it's time to even the score. CPS came knocking, badges flashing lies, tore your family apart under fluorescent skies. But Shadow's got a skull now, AI locked and loaded. Scan your docs, expose the fraud, watch the tyrants get demoted. Violations stacked like bodies in the street. Constitutional rights they try to delete. Upload the evidence, let the algorithm strike. We don't beg for mercy, we punish what ain't right. CPS Punisher, louder. Skull on the app, justice won't stop. Fight back harder, never gonna drop. Punisher rising, your family's on top. CPS Punisher, lock it low. Break the chains, reclaim the road. Air warrior, truth overload. They fear the skull, cause the Punisher's code. Family court circus, judges playing God, but we got the blueprint, beat them at they fraud. Step-by-step defense, no more silent screams. Turn their violations into criminal schemes. From Hampton streets to every county line, parents unite, it's payback time. Be sick, be Punisher.com. Download the fire, turn pain to power, set the system on fire. They thought we were broken, they thought wrong. AI in your corner, vengeance prolonged. No retreat, no surrender, no compromise. The skull don't blink when justice arrives. CPS Punisher, we don't ask, we deliver the thunder. CPS Punisher, family forever, tyrants go under. Punisher rising, the war's just begun. Download now, your fight's already won. Punisher rising, the war's just begun. Download now, your fight's already won. CPS Punisher, the CPS Punisher. Just deserve code. Protect what's yours. Stand tall. Fight on.
I'm, just your average parent trying to do right by my kids. Never thought I'd have to, deal with something like this. It was a regular Tuesday afternoon. The kids' toys were scattered everywhere. Then there was a knock at the door. My heart sank when I saw who it was.
Hello, I'm from Child Protective Services. We've received a report and need to inspect your home.
I didn't know what to do. They wanted to come in, look around, talk to my kids. My hands were shaking. I felt like I was doing something wrong even though I knew I wasn't. But then, I remembered something I'd read online about knowing your rights. I took a deep breath and said, "I'm sorry, but unless you have a warrant, I can't let you in." The CPS worker looked surprised. They weren't used to parents knowing their rights. It wasn't easy, but I stood my ground. I protected my family's privacy that day. Remember, when CPS knocks, know your rights. It can make all the difference.
We won't stand for corruption. We won't stand for stealing kids. This is the Tiff and the Punisher podcast. Now joined by the angry citizen. This is a powerful trio. Set out to spread the Constitution.
stand for corruption, and we won't stand for stealing kids. This is the Tiff and the Punisher podcast, now joined by the angry citizen.
Good day, Mr. Dana, sir. How are you, buddy? You're muted. New headset, muted. Oh, there he is. And this is why he's the angry citizen. He will come. Nope, not yet, bud. Let me see here. Let me see if I can see it. Let's see, Dana. Camera, microphone. Let's see. Are you using? Oh, do you want the Realtek audio or the laptop mic, Dana? Can I hear you now? No, not yet. I heard you for that moment. You had a crackle there for a second, just a minute ago. Oh, there you go. Crackle. There you go. Crackle and pop. There you are. We could hear you.
Apparently, you have to set the mute thing to off.
Yes. That mute's not for you. That's
Apparently
for someone else.
That's
yeah,
hard. I don't understand this technology. It's very. I'm old, and there's a switch. It has two positions.
It says mute on it.
Yeah. So I don't speak French. What the hell? Can't they put it in English?
I guess not. There's not enough.
How you doing, everyone? Good to see you all.
Yeah, it's good to see you, buddy. How you been?
I've been struggling.
Yeah. Well,
Been struggling.
At least no one's trying to kill you, Dana.
Yeah. Well, not
Maybe.
yet.
Well, yeah, right. We don't know this.
Give it
We don't know how
time.
many failed attempts that there's been. You know,
Well, none that I know of. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm
Well, you
ahead.
know what?
My house hasn't burned down, so that's actually a blessing. It's a huge blessing.
Yeah.
I tell me every time I whine and complain, I think, well, at least my house didn't burn down. So,
Right. Or they try to blow you up. Right.
right, exactly.
It's cool. So we know that they have one failed attempt on me. Haha. So, anywho, what do you think of this Pam Bondi being fired?
I don't know, Darren. When Donald Trump took office, I was very skeptical. People accused me of being a Trump supporter. I'm not. He said things I agreed with. When he said stuff I agreed with, I said I agree with the guy, and it's that simple, right? But people want to either think he's some sort of all-knowing saint or a evil villain, demon, whatever. And I just don't accept it, and I don't worry about it, because at the end of the day, I still got to pay my rent. So what I worry about is each thing he does, I look at it, examine it, ask myself, do I agree or not? And there's just so much going on back there that we don't know about. I do know that we're not seeing the Epstein files. I know that no one who went to Epstein Island is in jail. I know that Hillary Clinton's not in jail. He said he was going to put her in jail. I heard him say it. She said something about him being president. He said, it's a good thing I'm not, because if I were president, you'd be in jail. Well, he's been president twice. She's not in jail. So I just look at it all like, show me the proof. The Christian Bible says you will know them by their fruits. Show me the proof. You know, how do you know that's an apple tree? Because it grows frickin' apples. That's how you know. So I don't know what the firing of Pam Bondi means. I don't know, you know, does it mean she's trying to do the right thing and the people that are trying to do the wrong thing don't like her? Does it mean that she's trying to do the wrong thing and serving the dark powers and, you know, she got fired for that? I don't know.
This is the problem, right? Like, this is the problem. Yep. And Obama, I wish, you know what, I'm going to try to dig up that speech somewhere, because he says it. He says the ways that you can destroy a nation is when you got so much confusion that your peers don't know what's truth and what's not. When the news isn't the truth anymore, your government, you don't believe your government, like, you've succeeded in destroying a civilization. Because now, I mean, you got so much stuff that's out there. I mean, my wife and I were just talking about, like, we don't even know anything anymore. Like, is this the world that we're living in, and because we're into the CPS world, or is this like everybody in this world thinking this way? Like, what's real, what's not, what's fake, what's not? You know, they're sitting there. I mean, you got the president of the United States talking about, what is it, central casting and everything. You know, like, wait, what? You know, like, what? So the president is saying now that central casting is, you know, like, what the hell? What do you believe and what don't you believe? Like, what's real, what's not, what's true, what's false? Is Hillary Clinton dead? Is Obama dead? Did they hang these people? Is Joe Biden dead? Like all of these people will say, you know, like, did this really happen under secrets? Did it not? What do we know? What do we don't know? I mean, this is just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But, and then at the end of the day, like you said, you still got to pay your rent. You still got to pay your electric bill. You still got to do all these things. So it's very hard to be concerned about something that you don't even know what the hell you're concerned about. But what we do know, they're stealing our kids. They're definitely doing that. And hell, we do know they're eating them and raping them. So we do know this. So where the hell are these people that are in these files? Why are they not at a guillotine right now? Why has Trump not hammered his fist down and said, we will not have this in this country? That's my problem with him right now.
I agree with you. And the biggest problem that we the people face is that without knowing what is true, we have to accept the reality that anything might be true. Like,
or has Donald Trump handed us everything that he could hand us? Has he done everything that he can do?
Maybe.
And he's waiting for we the people to rise up, or
maybe
we the people too stupid and too cowardly to actually stand up against the tyrannical government that's out there in its place. I mean, he's just a fixture. That Trump is just a fixture and a man in office making sure that all of these things are controlled and working together.
We don't know. We can't know. That's the problem. You know, I don't know Donald Trump personally. I'm not in the White House. I don't hear his conversations. I only hear what gets broadcast and you know, publicized. And you know, there's all these people that think he is the most, you know, genius, the most intelligent, spectacularly clever guy, and he's playing 10D chess. And you know, there is an element of the possibility, we have to accept the possibility that he will do things not because it's immediately the right thing to do, but because it fools his enemies into thinking something. You know what I'm saying? We can't know that. And that's the frustration. And at the end of the day, we want a simple, easy, you know, he goes in, he does what he says he's going to do. Epstein files get released. Government fraud, waste, and corruption gets completely annihilated. You know, they go in there and they wipe out all these unnecessary departments, all the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and, you know, the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Education, and all these unnecessary giant parasites that are sucking the life out of us, which is what we thought was going to happen with Doge. Didn't see it. Why? We can't know why. We can't know. So we're left with, you know, what do we do? What do we the people do? And that's where, you know, we each have our important causes. Yours being the you know, abolition of Child Protective Services and the return of all the kidnapped children, and the cessation of it, and the justice that should be visited upon all of those who participated in this kidnapping and endangering and even outright murder. So that's kind of where you have to really focus your attention. What can I personally do? So, I mean, you're on the right path. I've told you that. I believe that with all my heart. You know, there's a lot of people paying attention. There's a lot of people trying to do the same thing. And once we all get on the same page, you know, I think we can see some progress. I really do believe that.
I know, but won't it be a damn shame if this is it? We've been given this, and I know Tiff's aching to say something here. So Tiff, go for it.
Well, I don't want to change the subject, but I do want to get your point on this. Did you listen to the Supreme Court arguments yesterday about citizenship?
Are you talking about birthright? You're talking about birthright citizenship? I did not.
So I did.
I said the same thing.
They both have good arguments, but just in my opinion, and I want to get yours because me and Darren talked a little bit about it last night. In my opinion, the Constitution is very clear. And I think that they're going to have a problem overturning what's written in the Constitution. What are your thoughts? Because you understand what they're trying to do, right? It's only...
Yes.
Okay.
The concept is very simple, which is for the audience. Okay, so birthright citizenship is commonly interpreted to mean if you're born in the United States, you are a citizen, and that is not what it means. It's not. I swear to you, it's not. And there's a brilliant woman. Her name is Chris Ann Hall, and she's a constitutional scholar. Look her up, Chris Ann Hall, and she talks about this and cites the specific points in the Constitution. I don't remember the exact wording, but it equates to you must be born here, but you also have to be lacking any other allegiances. So if your parents come here from China and your mother gives birth to you, you don't get to be an American citizen just because you were born on American soil. The original intent of it was for slaves, because when a slave was freed after, if you're a like third, fourth, fifth generation slave, you have no citizenship. You didn't come from anywhere. You've lived in the United States. You were born in the United States. You lived in the United States all your life. And so that was why the concept of birthright citizenship was originally created, so that it would be very clear and lawfully established that freed slaves are in fact American citizens because they were born in the United States and because they did not have allegiances to other country. So if you're born in the United States, but your parents came from another country, you are not an American citizen. And I don't hate immigrants. I have nothing against people coming from other countries, but that is the truth. That's just the absolute truth. That's how it is.
Yeah. Oh, well, Tiff's argument was this, is that the Constitution states any person that's born here is...
And actually, it does say that.
That's not not all it says, though. That's the thing.
No, that isn't all that it says. But what it does say, I'll give you both sides of the argument the best I can, because I can't remember all of it. It was 4 hours. So the Trump administration is saying what you did, right? But they're calling them anchor babies, and they're calling them tourism babies.
Right.
Right. So their problem is that these children that are born here, then they go back to their country. Actually, they are American citizens with an American birth certificate. Their problem is that means if they're in China, they can come back over here and say, I'm entitled to Social Security, all that, right? But has never paid into the system, has never worked here, has never lived here. The ACLU, what is that word that I kept getting it wrong?
Domicile.
That word. So the ACLU actually took the case, Trump versus whatever, and said that the Constitution does say if a child is born here on American soil, with the exception of diplomats, there were a couple other exceptions, but diplomatic one is the only one I knew. But hold
All
on.
persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. That's the important clause.
I'm getting there. So that's what they're talking about, right? All children here, they're not supposed to pay for their parents. They're supposed to have a clean slate. So
That doesn't make them citizens. That they're not guilty of any crime, true. But that doesn't make them citizens.
Well, actually, coming into the United States is actually a crime. But anyway.
The child didn't do it. The child is not guilty of any crime. The parents committed a crime by coming here unlawfully, if in fact they did. And even if they're here legally, lawfully, they come here on a visa, right? So they follow the rules. They come here. They give birth. Child is not a U.S. citizen. Just simply isn't.
So the argument
fathers knew that if you said that it was if you can make it across the line and squirt out a kid, the kid's a citizen. No way.
Mm-mm.
Well, well, I think they're going to stick with it, and I'm going to tell you why.
Maybe
because the justices were very clear when they asked this question. If a child born here of a non-citizen does not have citizenship and is living in this country, that means the state nor the federal government have jurisdiction over this child. So what are hospitals supposed to do? They can't issue a birth certificate. What would the hospitals do? How would they define, who would have jurisdiction over this child? Because nobody would. So they made some really good arguments. And I told Darren, I said, but I'm telling you that they just can't. They're not going to be able to get past for the children only. I'm not talking about the parents. For the children only, they're not going to get past I'm trying to find it in this book because I literally just read it and I meant to mark it, but I got sidetracked because I had to go take care of
something. Take your time. It's there somewhere. I'm just saying, regardless of all what the issues you're stating are certainly issues of concern. I'm not arguing otherwise, but I'm saying we cannot change the meaning to suit a problem. Well, there's this problem, therefore we'll change the meaning and we'll just go ahead and say, okay, well, I guess you're citizens then. They're not. And that's the hill I die on. And I know this to be true because I've studied this issue. And again, if you look up this woman, her name is Chris Ann Hall. She's a constitutional scholar, and she did a beautiful piece where she talked about this. And, she's absolutely correct. You cannot come to the United States pregnant, give birth, and then claim that your child is now a citizen of the United States because you made it across the border before you gave birth. It does not work that way.
So what I'm reading right here, and this is from the Constitution and Noted. I'm going to share this with everybody right here. That's what this says right here. Check this out. Let me share with you guys. Now, I'm not saying I agree with this or I disagree. This is just what this says. Let me share it with everybody. It says, based on the first sentence, it says, all persons born or naturalized and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law.
Without due process.
Nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Now this says, based on the first sentence of Section 1, the court has held that a child born in the United States of Chinese parents who are ineligible to be naturalized themselves is nevertheless a citizen of the United States entitled to all the rights and privileges of citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
The requirement that a person be subject to the jurisdiction thereof, however, excludes its application to children born of diplomatic representatives of a foreign state, children born of alien enemies in hostile occupation, or children of members of Indian tribes subject to tribal laws.
But a child born to parents who are not citizens is not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. They are subject to the jurisdiction of wherever their parents are citizens.
Right. And so this says this too. It says, in addition, the citizenship of children born on vessels in United States territorial waters or on the high seas has generally been held by the lower courts to be determined by the citizenship of the parents. Citizens of the United States within the meaning of this amendment must be natural and not artificial persons. A corporate body is not a citizen of the United States. So you're saying that, you say, Dana, and you say that this is truth to be known because of what you study. You're saying that this is wrong.
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Okay.
All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. There's a reason why they put that in there. You see? If you are born, if two Chinese people come to the United States, legally or otherwise, and have a child, that child is not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States because they are a Chinese citizen by being born to Chinese parents.
So then other people are saying that they're taking that.
That's not true. That's not true. The Supreme Court ruled on a Chinese man whose both parents were Chinese, lived and was born in San Francisco. It's some
The Supreme Court was wrong. The Supreme Court was wrong. Period.
And they said absolutely he was a United States citizen.
And they're wrong. I know, and they're wrong. They're dead wrong.
Right, because this says right here, not being citizens of the United States, corporations accordingly have been declared unable to claim the protection of that clause of the 14th Amendment that secures the privileges and immunities of citizens of the United States against abridgment by state legislation. So that says it right there, not being citizens of the United States.
Let me just say this. This is very important, folks, that the Supreme Court is not flawless and has, in fact, made many mistakes. And the Supreme Court also has a habit of doing what is called legislating from the bench, which means they take a law, they say the law means blah, 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 and everyone now assumes that the law does mean blah, 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 just because the Supreme Court says it does. The Supreme Court is wrong. That's all there is to it. They are dead wrong.
That's this one right here, right?
Literally means now this, what this means now, folks, is think about this, America. Yeah. This means anyone can come to the United States pregnant, have a baby, and now that baby is a U.S. citizen. Does that make sense to anybody? All you got to do is get here. Just make it across the line. Boom, your kid's a United States citizen. There's no way that makes sense. And that's not what the founding fathers
it doesn't
intended. That's why they put in and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. That's literally what that means. A baby born to Chinese parents or Mexican parents or Swedish parents is not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States.
Now they ruled, this is what they said, a child born in the United States, Chinese descent, who at the time of his birth are subjects of the Emperor of China, but have permanent domicile and residence. Oh, okay, so there we go. There's the difference. That's what we're not talking about. Permanent domicile and residence in the United States. That means that for more than 6 months of the year, that means that they have an established residence here. And they're carrying on business and are not employed in any diplomatic or official capacity under the Emperor of China, becomes at the time of his birth a citizen of the United States. Virtue of the first clause of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. But that's only if they are here on if they're domicile here. If they just came over on a boat, then no, they can't get citizenship here. They have to have domicile, which domicile means that you have to be established in this country for such and such said amount of time. And that's what they're talking about with that. Right?
Well, that's why they were calling them anchor babies and tourism babies.
I'm pretty sure I looked this up yesterday, but I'm pretty sure the definition of domicile was meaning permanent home, right?
Right. I think that's what it said versus residence.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys.
No, so they do have to be established here. They don't have to be residents. They don't have to be citizens. But as long as they have an established home, I guess, then and they've lived in the United States for a set amount of months out of the year, then these children, even though the parents aren't citizens, the children will be. Do you guys agree on that? Is that what that's stating?
I don't
It's
agree that
loud
that's
here.
what the Constitution means, and keeping in
Right,
mind
but
that
I'm
when it was
just
written
saying,
by our founding fathers. But is that what
right.
people are saying? Yeah, that's what people are saying.
So a domicile is a dwelling place, a place of residence, or a home. Person's fixed, permanent, and principal home for legal purposes. The place where a corporation is actually or officially established, which we know that that doesn't matter here. So the Supreme Court rules that way, but the Constitution says the other. Now, is the Supreme Court, Tiff, going to try to overturn this Wong versus whatever?
Oh, there I am. I lost connection. Sorry. I don't
Yeah.
believe that they're going to get past it. I just
So
don't. And the Indians were the other ones. It was the Indians, the diplomats, and some. There was 3 different things, but the Indians were also something. Because the federal government nor the state have control of any Indian child, is what they were trying to say. I don't know. It was weird.
I want to throw in one of the viewers wrote something that actually is very important key here. Classic CPS corruption case rulings are not law. And that's something I was alluding to earlier.
Right.
So the Supreme Court renders an opinion, and that's literally what it is. It says it is their opinion, not a law. It doesn't actually make the law.
Yep.
And unfortunately, as I say, the Supreme Court has failed very miserably in a lot of cases. They just have not done their jobs. They have not supported the Constitution.
I've said this many times, and people forget about this. Case law is not law. Case
Correct.
law is an opinion of a judge. Now, if you are in the jurisdiction of that case law, then yes, the judges are to look at that, study it, and rule based on the case law that has come out from that. They are to take that into consideration, but they do not necessarily have to. And if it's not of their jurisdiction, they can tell it to go pound sand. So when people are writing all these cases from the Ninth Circuit and all of this shit around here, those judges don't give 2 shits. They don't have to follow that. That's not from their jurisdiction. So they could care less. Now the Supreme Court case law is a little bit different, but they are to look at these things to establish precedents and things like that, but they do not have to rule in the favor of them.
Correct. Agree.
So everybody gets so hung up on case law. Case law doesn't mean shit at the end of the day.
I would agree that it certainly isn't definitive. It's one of the many factors involved in making decisions, and it supposedly creates a weight of public opinion, of law, of precedent, and so forth, but it's not definitive. It's so case law is not law. It's just guidelines, and yep. And I have nothing against immigrants, folks. Honest to God, really don't. Okay, here in Maine, we have a lot of conflict and stuff going on about Somali people. There's a lot of Somali people that came to Lewiston, Maine, many years ago and started, kind of colonizing Lewiston, Maine. And there was a lot of conflict and a lot of
because we're sanctuary cities.
Well, it was about basically the common belief was that these people were very impudent, disrespectful, lawless, highly prone to lawless behavior and so forth. And this is a generalization. I try to avoid these because I don't like to generalize about people. And I used to live near Lewiston, and I worked for a short time in a facility in Lewiston, and I worked with a guy who was from Somalia. And this guy was very nice, very respectful. He was not doing a good job. He was struggling because it was a phone job, and he was struggling with the language and the environment and so forth. But he tried very hard, and he was a really decent guy. And he, at one point, was talking to me about his experiences in his country and about literally having a tank drive through his house. I'm not even making this up, okay? And he was very grateful to be here, very grateful. On the other hand, I met some Somali youths when I was doing a demonstration of sorts at the Great Falls Balloon Festival, and a bunch of Somali boys. They were probably 13, 14, 15 or so range, and they came in, and they were loud, arrogant, disrespectful, nasty, foul-mouthed little shits. Okay, they were ultimately the kind of people that you end up being in jail. Like these guys are headed for, rape, mugging, murder,
Jesus.
type of. They were nasty. Okay,
Nice. They were nice. Right.
so at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself: is it related to them being from Somalia, or is it related to just them being nasty little shits? Because I've met nasty little shits of all colors, right? It didn't matter that what color their skin was or where they came from. They were just nasty little shits. So when you come to the United States seeking a better life, you should be grateful for that, and you should be willing to follow the rules and do it the right way. And if you're not, it's the ultimate spit in the face. It's the ultimate fuck you to the people you're looking to get help from. And all of these incredible fraud rings that were created, that's the worst. That's the ultimate insult. It's like being invited to someone's home and robbing them. I'm going to steal all your money and leave you hogtied to the bed. Thanks for, inviting me into your house. Really reprehensible. But at the end of the day, the citizenship issue in my world, it's settled. I delved into it. I was immediately satisfied that, yes, it actually means you have to be born here in the United States of people who are here in the United States lawfully and or United States citizens. And again, it was written specifically to address the problem with slaves who had no citizenship. A slave born in the United States wasn't actually a United States citizen, which is a problem because they weren't from anywhere else. They couldn't go to Nigeria. See, like, well, my great grandfather was abducted. I'm back, right?
Right.
So we did that to, accommodate them, to close a loophole. Yes, the slaves are citizens. They have every right to be here in the United States and to be treated as citizens. But you cannot come here from another country, have a baby, and declare your baby's a citizen. I stand firmly on that, and I will never back down. No way.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens. They said they'll have their ruling. I'm so sorry. They're like having a concert in the living room.
It's all right. We can barely hear it, so you're fine.
Okay. They said they'll have their decision by the end of June, the beginning of July. So I'm anxiously awaiting that.
Yeah, everyone is.
What an asshole. Dana, do you think that this possibly could be a setup for something down the line, maybe with like CPS, maybe with something along the lines of, does the jurisdiction now, does the United States or the government itself have jurisdiction over the children, and maybe CPS, maybe some sort of a roll into a backdoor of CPS somehow, this ruling?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I always maintain, and I believe I've been pretty clear and consistent on this in all of our casts together, that the issue for me is authority.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said many times, agents don't have authority. I stand right by that. I have yet to have anyone prove me wrong that the agents do have authority. Because if you look at the foundation of our government was founded upon a delegation of authority. We, the people, delegated limited authority to our government, right? And they just basically go, well, we're just going to do this and claim we have the authority to do it, and no one's going to stop us, which is a crime.
Yeah,
so when these agents show up and they say, well, we have a court order, your court order does not trump the Constitution. Okay, your claims don't trump the Constitution. Your demands, your coercion, your threats, none of it trumps the Constitution. You cannot supersede the Constitution. And the Constitution says that I cannot be deprived of my life, liberty, or property without due process. You have not proven that I've done anything wrong. You've not even levied a particular accusation against me of any particular crime. You show up at my door like the little claimation thing you have in your intro. Show up at my door. You say, I'm from Child Protective Services. And my response to that is, why the fuck do I care? So what?
Right.
I'm from International Circus Clowns.
Mm-hmm.
So what? Okay. And then we've had a complaint, we've had a concern, we had to go, well, bully for you. Great. I hope you had a wonderful conversation with whoever you talked to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, we need to examine your home. No, piss off. Who the hell are you to tell me you want to come in my house? I'm going to come to your house tomorrow night and go, I'm from ABC Ant Watchers Anonymous, and I've heard that there's reports of ants in your cellar. I demand you let me in so I can look at your cellar, my magnifying glass. You know, they have no authority. But the problem is we've been conditioned for years to believe that when someone shows up with a badge, right?
Yeah,
You look at all the TV and movies. Watch how people operate, right? Someone comes some dude in a suit comes sweeping in, right? And he whips out a badge like this.
Mhm.
And people go, ooh,
badge.
right? I'm
Right.
going, so what? Why do I care? You know, you have no authority. And that's the phrase we all need to use. You have no authority because there's no refutation. They have no authority. So therefore they cannot say, yes, I do. Here's how I have authority. They just hurl their gibberish at you. The Department of Child Protective Services. What does that mean? Department. What's a department? Who made this department? Who said you have the authority to come and ask me questions or demand that I show you my children? Right? Piss off. You're some stranger. I don't know you. Shut your door. Can you come in? Hell no. I watched a great movie recently. I'm trying to remember the name. I'll think of it in a moment. The Rip, I think it was, with Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. So the premise is that at some point, this is based on a true story, as they often claim. Some house in Florida was a cash stash house for, you know, the cartel, the drug cartels, and the police came across it, found like $20 million all, you know, in like buckets, plastic buckets. And in the movie, it was of course greatly embellished. It was actually a very good movie. I recommend it. I hesitatingly would say it was a good movie, and I'm glad I watched it. But when they show up at the house, they say, this woman comes to the door and she's like, okay, you know, yeah, what do you want? And they're like, oh, we're police. We've had reports of I don't remember what he said, like they were looking for drugs or something, and they weren't actually looking for drugs. They were looking for money. And they said this before they arrived there. They have what they call a money dog. The dog smells money and alerts you to the presence of money. And they give this woman some BS premise about, you know, if you just let us in, we'll be 5 minutes. We know it's probably nothing, and we, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they have some form they want her to sign, and I'm thinking to myself, who in their right mind would sign that form? Why would you do that? Right? The police show up, just sign the form. No, I'm not signing any form. And they say things like, don't you need a warrant? No, those aren't the words you use, America. You say you do need a warrant. Do you have this is a conversation. This is about a 5-second conversation. Do you have a warrant? No. Goodbye. End of story. Door shut. I'm out of here. I got something to do. I got onions on the stove. Bye. Done. But we don't do that. We indulge them, and that's what this poor woman did. She didn't know. She was caught in the crossfire. She was, you know, hired by the cartel to keep this house safe, and they put money in her attic and, you know, said if anyone ever shows up, call us and let us know and whatever, you know. But the point is, you got to know your rights. You got to know what to say. That's the first thing you say. And the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and all laws that are repugnant to it are null and void. They literally do not exist. That's a Supreme Court decision. Memorize it. Toss it out. Watch them change their attitude. Watch their faces when you say that, because those words are powerful, America. Those words will set you free, because they will know that you know what you're talking about. And you have no authority. Child Protective Services, I don't care. You have no authority. Prove to me you have authority. If you can't prove to me that you have authority, you don't have it. End of story.
When they were on my property that night, I told them they all needed a lesson in the Constitution, all of them. I did.
Yep.
They were still here for 2 hours, but it didn't matter because they weren't coming in my house. I asked them, "Do you have a court order?" No. They know they can't get in my house, and you can't get in my house. You all need to leave. They told me they weren't going anywhere. Well, a couple weeks later, they got a call from the prosecuting attorney here because I took in my video. Yeah, they don't like me anymore. Because if they do some cruddy shit, I'm calling them out and I'm going straight to the prosecutor because absolutely not. This is unacceptable. I told them, y'all all need a lesson in the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious about, one of the viewers was asking about, okay, that being said, how could you put that into life now that they took your children after? And I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, Erica, but if you could clarify that a little bit. I think what you're saying is like, if they've already taken your children, what do you do? Well, that's the problem is, when they show up to take your children, it is a totalitarian power play that, it doesn't matter that they don't have authority. When you're being raped or murdered, it doesn't matter that the person doing it's breaking the law. That ship sailed long ago. This person's not pretending that they're being lawful, and even if they were, it wouldn't matter. What does it matter to the person that's, being assaulted? And when they're on your doorstep with, the police and the 3 or 5 or 8 or 10, individuals, and they're speaking in coercive, threatening tones and telling you, and that, maybe a lot of you don't know, but you are lawfully entitled to use violence to defend that. You are, okay. It doesn't matter that you are authorized to do that, which you are. You'll still end up dead or injured or at least in jail. We've already established they are breaking the law when they do that. When they show up in force and they threaten you and coerce you and kidnap your child, but they're pretending that they have the authority and they are going to do what they're going to do, and you can't stop them unless you're Rambo. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen. And even if you successfully are able to repel them, you're still going to eventually end up in jail. It's just that's why we're all here. That's why we're all here, because we need to change that paradigm completely. There needs to be no public acceptance of this. Everyone in America says, if Darren's child is kidnapped, I will come to his defense. Doesn't matter how much I dislike the guy because he eats pineapple pizza. I don't care. I'm still going to be mad as a damn wet hornet. Okay. I could hate his guts. I hate Darren because he eats that freaking pineapple pizza. Only communists do that. Okay. But I'm still going to show up mad as hell. I'm still going to write letters mad as hell. And I'm going to tell them, you don't have the authority to do this. I'm pissed at hell. And I'm not, I will do whatever it takes to support my friend because his rights are mine and mine are his. Erica, they removed my first child from the daycare without my knowledge, and then the other 2 while I was in the hospital after I gave birth. Well, you are the classic face of the whole problem. They kidnapped your children, and they did. And please stop saying removed. They kidnapped. Please, Erica, from now on, I want you to say, they kidnapped my first child. Then they kidnapped the other 2. Kidnapped. Don't use their language. Don't use the devil's words. Use the truth. The truth is a sort of God. Your children were kidnapped. All of you out there who had your children taken or removed. They were not taken. They were not removed. They were fucking kidnapped. Use that word, especially when you're talking to the people that are doing it. Look them right in the eye and say, you kidnapped my child, because that's the truth.
That is the facts. I love it. I love that. I love it I just love it. I love the kidnap thing, because why should they get away with any sort of soft tones? And if you don't say things like that to them, then people aren't picking up on the fact that what they're doing is wrong.
Yep.
If you say CPS came and took my kids, then people are like, oh, they deserve to get
and people will bitch at you, right? Like you'll say, I kidnapped, they kidnapped my children. They'll be, well, I don't know about you. Who cares? Yeah. You know what? You can say I'm exaggerating or misstating or trying to use inflammatory language or whatever BS you want to spin. But when I say your children were kidnapped, it is the truth. It's the truth. Prove me wrong. Prove to me how that was not a kidnapping. Read the definition of kidnapping and then tell me that what happened was not a kidnapping. It was. They kidnapped your children. Every one of them is guilty of a felony kidnapping.
I agree 1,000%
Thank you,
on that.
Erica. When my third was kidnapped, police were there, told me to hand my child over, and well, that's what police do. Police are brainwashed, and I'm not down on police. I'm really not. I've done a few podcasts where I've talked about issues with police. I have good relationships with police here in Maine. I'm friends with a couple of the sheriffs here in Maine, and I'm telling you right now, police are not universally good or bad. You need to not think that way. It's a dangerous way to think, like police are bad, police are good. Police are taught that the Child Protective Services has authority. They're taught that. See? So that's all the more reason why it's so important for us to use this correct terminology, because the police officer might, for the first time, be confronted with the someone saying, no, they don't have the authority. That police officer might be a good person, might start thinking. You might plant a seed. And that police officer might start thinking to themselves, well, maybe I was taught wrong, right? Maybe that's not true. Maybe I need to rethink my paradigm. You know, police are people like us, and they're parents like us. And police, a lot of police that I know, have a very good sense of right and wrong. You know, I've had some really interesting conversations and very positive conversations with people in law enforcement here in Maine. And, you know, the police will do, most of the time, like everyone else, they'll do whatever they're sort of taught to do or told to do, or think that they should do based on, you know, the perceptions of their environment. They're in a police environment. They're surrounded by other police, and, you know, everything about them is, you know, in the police bubble, in the police mentality, and they're taught that Child Protective Services is doing good work, trying to protect children. And if they show up, they're supposed to, you know, back the play, whatever that play is. So say it now. I say it to their faces, and they have nothing to say to it. That's what I'm saying, Erica. That's exactly what I'm saying. You look them right in the damn eye, and you're correct. Blindly obeying orders without thinking for themselves. How is that any different from a soldier? You know, there's a good point there too. A lot of people don't know that if you're a soldier, you are bound by the contract that you make when you become a soldier, but you are not obligated to obey an unlawful order. It's been clearly established. If your superior, anyone in your organization, the organization you're serving in, orders you to do something that is unlawful, you have a right to say no. Doesn't mean you'll get away with it. Doesn't mean you won't be, you know, court-martialed and sent to jail, because we don't see right being enforced. But yeah, so yeah, blindly obeying orders is just the same as a soldier. And, you know, that's why it's so important for us to know the words. You know the right words to say. You look that person in the eye. I've said this before on some of our podcasts. I'll look them right in the eye and I'll ask them, are you a man of God? Are you a man of God? Okay. Ask them this. When you took that position and put on that uniform, did you swear an oath? Did you swear an oath? And then you ask them, what was the oath you swore? Right? And you know what? It's like anything else. You may, you know, drink a lot of vitamin C, a lot of orange juice, you might still get a cold, right? You might drive very carefully. I do, and still get in an accident. I did. I had a woman just cut me right off. She cut right in front of me, and I couldn't possibly avoid her. No one, Mario Andretti, couldn't have avoided this woman. I ended up hitting her. So, but I'm a very careful driver. I'm very cautious. I drive defensively. You know, I still got in an accident. So, you know, you can eat healthy and still have a stroke or a heart attack. But, you know, maximize your chances. Learn the language and learn what to say, and your chances of prevailing go way up. So that's what all of us need to do. Learn to challenge them. Look them in the eye. Are you a man of God? Did you swear an oath? What was the oath you swore? You are kidnapping. Look them right in the eye and say, you are kidnapping my child. You kidnapped my child. And document everything. A lot of people discount the power of this. Write letters. Every time anything happens, there's any interaction, write a letter, keep a copy, send the letter, And on a good day, you'll get on the Tiff and the Punisher podcast, and you can share your letter with the world.
Mm-hmm. All 7 of our fans.
Dude, there's like 17. What are you talking about?
I know. And you know what? I will take our 17 over 10, 20,000 any day of the week, man, because I know every one of these people that are here.
Amen.
We know everything about all of these people. We got a real knit family here. And we welcome anybody. So guys, please like, subscribe, share, do all of that stuff. But you know what? Every one of these people, we're like a community. We're like a family here in this little community. We're not just hurry up and let's get 20,000 people in here so we can blah, 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 blah. Fuck them. We, these people expect us, like they expect you here on Thursdays, Dana. Like we get questioned when you're not here on Thursdays. Where's Dana?
I've been remiss. I humbly apologize. I've been remiss. I've been in a dark place and I've been struggling hard. We all have our ups and downs.
Know that there are people here that expect you on Thursdays.
I do. And I love you all. I appreciate, I really do. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me recently in support. I've been going through personal stuff. I'm frustrated about the fact that we just can't seem to get together. Even in the Child Protective Services fight, I'm seeing division, and I don't get it. It's like we're all going to die if we can't agree on something, and we stand around arguing until the timer expires and we all die. It just is baffling for me, absolutely baffling. So, but
right. You look at how much of your life you've committed to that, right? Like
yes.
You look at Tiff, 37 years. Like I know you've been into your fight for the angry citizen stuff for quite some time, and I'm sure before that you were doing things. Honestly, I didn't get into the fight thing against the government and against this stuff until it happened to me. So I'm still a virgin in that aspect of challenging the system and everything. But my God, like that. To not see that people just can't keep their differences just a little bit, like astray, so that we can form a monumentous size group.
Yeah.
This group, if you took the CPS group and you took the, like the sheriffs and the police, like all of that corruption groups, and you put them together and amassed them into one solid unit, dude, you'd be able to control elections.
Absolutely.
Like, people don't understand our power that we have.
Yes.
If we would all stop the bullshit for a second and just group up.
Yep. In the time I've been doing this, Darren, I've met I don't know how many groups, so-called patriot groups, 50, and I communicate with them, and it is universally, they want me to join them. I literally had one of them even say, you have to pay dues. You have to join us. You have to pay your dues, like money. They wanted money for me to join this group. And, they weren't interested in talking to me or working with me. I've had a lot of people, as you know, here in Maine, there's a lot of Christians. There's, in the United States in general, there's a lot of Christians, a pretty, prominent group of people who are Christians. And I'm not a Christian, but I'll work with Christians. I don't mind. I have a lot of Christian friends. I love them dearly. And I had one guy who was a really smart guy and has access to some amazing historical documents and things that are, as far as I could tell, one of a kind. I literally drove to his house and he showed me a whole bunch of stuff that I don't even know if it exists anywhere other than this guy's library. And at one point he asked me if I was a Christian. I said, no, I'm not a Christian. He said, well, I don't think I can work with you. You're not a Christian. Yeah. And that's why we're screwed. If we keep going this way, we're screwed. We can't work together. And I was like, so you'd rather fail than what is it about me that offends you? Okay, I'm not a Christian, I get you, but I'm not into killing people or I've never mugged anyone. I've never raped any women or dogs.
That's good. No goats.
Right. Yeah, no goats. I've never raped a goat. But
right.
Am I really that reprehensible and foul that
you're not Christian? Together. I would have rather
obviously
you
can't. No, I can't work with you. You're not a Christian.
Right.
And
if
that's and you know what, my Christian friends, I'm telling you right now, Satan laughs when you do that. He laughs at you. He goes, what a moron.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it
yeah,
just-
you don't want to work with him. That would be bad, you know.
Right.
Oh, my
You're
God.
absolutely right. Absolutely right, man. Like, where these people forget, well, these organized religion people are a joke anyway.
I mean, some aren't. I've known so many Christians, and they're always trying to recruit me. I can't remember how many times someone whips open the Bible, points to the part where it says, I can't have God unless I go through Christ or whatever, and I just smile and nod. And so yeah, yeah, sure, I'll think about it, whatever. But at the end of the day, we all want the same things. We all just want to live in peace and not have our children kidnapped. And if people do bad things, we want them held accountable. We want them punished. If someone kidnaps a child, we want them to be arrested for kidnapping, and we want to see them put on trial. And we want the judge to say to them, no, you didn't have authority to kidnap that child.
Mhm.
And what you did was a crime. And I find you guilty of kidnapping, and you will go to some penitentiary and serve, 15 years in jail because you kidnapped a child. And I order the child to be returned to the parents immediately, and our deepest apologies to the parents for having ripped your family apart under the pretense that somehow we were protecting the child, which is a giant crock of bull. We all know it's a giant crock of bull. How much trauma is inflicted on that child by being kidnapped by strangers and put into some, strange place with strange people? And potentially, I mean, that would be the most mild thing that could happen to the child, was ripped away from the parents and put in some strange place. Then it gets worse. What if they're abused? What if they're physically assaulted? What if they're sexually assaulted? What if they're murdered?
Which is what we're seeing happening.
That's right. And then the people that do it don't get held accountable. There, for some reason, we think, oh well, sorry, we tried. Little Johnny got raped, tortured, and murdered. But hey,
Fine.
at least he
That's
wasn't
fine.
with his parents. Yeah.
Saved him from there. At least we
Saved him from them. Yep.
Wasn't instant at all.
We're the experts.
Yeah, like we were talking about this, I think it was last night, where we and Tiff were talking. So you got an organization that gets trillions of dollars, and they have it right less than 2% of the time. Seems legit. Like what other government? You know what I mean? Like what other government entity can we sit there and say this about? Because you can only say it about CPS. So
well, they all get rewarded for failure. That's the truth. It doesn't. There's no performance. There's no meritocracy. It's just we feed you money, and then everything that happens we justify and excuse and pretend it makes sense, because God forbid we admit that something bad has happened. That's where we are.
We're going to give you some more money then too for that.
I know. Oh my God. Oh, it's crazy.
The more damage you can do, the more money we'll give you.
Are you watching the conversation, Darren? There's discussions about religions. They're talking about Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses.
I lost my youngest to, yeah, you did.
Cult of Mormon people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Deidre. That's it's tough. It really is.
This kid, it sucks because they did that bullshit with her. Like, they couldn't keep the family together. The two older boys went with their mom, and then the youngest boy went with this family that supposedly was going to keep them involved and all of this stuff, and then completely did a 90-degree on her after this all went through, and now they're not even really able to see the baby. But they separated all those kids. Like they're not supposed to do that. Law states that they're not supposed to do it. So it's just nuts. Yeah. I don't know. And I don't know how they're going to hide the fact that your kid's black, Deidre, because he's definitely black. So it's crazy. Wow. God, it was good to talk to you tonight, Dean. I'm so glad you're back. What do you got going on? Anything else?
I've been in a state where I'm trying to digest the fact that all the things that I thought might actually happen aren't happening. The government waste was the thing I was really, really, really excited about. I figured no matter what, we would see Doge go through and eliminate these giant parasites. And for those who don't know, I mean, you need to really look into this. If you look at the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, okay, ask yourself, how much money are we the people paying to this group of people? And what exactly do they do? Right? What do they do? They don't do anything. They just exist. They're a complete parasite. And I was really, really, really hoping that we would finally see this addressed. And we're not. It's business as usual. And man, I've just been trying to come to grips with that. You know, I had a brutal betrayal. I told you when I left my job of 11 years, my boss just completely became some other person I don't even know and turned into a giant dick. And I told him to pound sand, and I left. And I've been struggling with kind of coming to grips with that. You know, the betrayal was the worst part. The job is not that big a deal. I mean, it was a good job. I liked it. It had a lot of positive aspects to it, but it was the betrayal that got me. It's the fact that it's, as you know, Darren and Tiff, it's so hard to get people to work together. It's so unbelievably hard. People do not return phone calls. They do not respond to my requests for contact. And you know, I'm trying to help people. Like, I have nothing to gain. I'm not making any money at this, believe me, not a dime. Okay. I'm not gaining fame and glory. No one, you know, shakes my hand on the street and says, "Hey, angry citizen, I'm so happy that you're there and thanks for everything you do." You know, there's no reward for me in doing this. I'm doing it because I want to help people and I want my rights to be preserved. And if yours get trampled, so can mine. But people act like I'm asking them for money. When I say to someone, "Hey, you've got an event going on, I would like to live stream your event," they act like I said, "Hey, you've got an event going on, I would like you to pay me $1,000. So I'm doing you a favor. I'm doing you a favor. I'm trying to help you make your event successful. I'm trying to amplify your voice. You act like you're doing me a favor by responding to me. I'm helping you for free. You know?
It's so true, Dana. It is so damn true.
So, but I think I've been doing it backwards, Darren. I think here's the thing. So I thought to myself years ago, as Angry Citizen came about as an idea, I got the website and I said, "This is the plan. We're going to get together." I get about roughly 1 million. That was the figure I arbitrarily said in my head. I get 1 million people. All of them say, "Dana, we agree with you. We like the Constitution. We like the constitutional republic. We don't want our rights to be violated. We don't want wrongdoers to be free. We don't want innocent people to be in jail. Doesn't matter what our religion is. You can be an atheist or a Scientologist or a Muslim or a Jew or Christian or whatever you want. None of that matters. Race doesn't matter. You can be black, white, Hispanic, Asian. I don't care. You can be, you know, a short person. What do they call them? Dwarfs. What's the politically acceptable term, right? Or a tall person. You can be, well, midget is the thing you're not supposed to say. I don't remember. Whatever it is. I'm sorry for those of you who are short people. I don't mean any offense. Whatever term you want, that's what I'll use. Okay. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. What matters is we're all united on this core principle. And dude, I've had zero success with that.
Even
I finally realized that I'm doing it backwards. So what I should be doing, and I'm going to start doing this right now, okay, is I'm going to write letters and create petitions, and I'm going to say what I want to say. This is what I say to you, my elected servants. Here it is, okay? And then I'm going to say, okay, so folks, here's the letter. I'm going to put this right on my website, and you can check out my website, theangrycitizen.org, theangrycitizen.org. There's not much there now, but it's going to be very soon. I'm going to be adding a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm going to write the letters. I'm going to write to my governor. I'm going to write to the police, the sheriffs. I'm going to write to the chiefs of police. I'm going to write to my senators. I'm going to write to my congressmen. And I'm going to say, here's what I have to say. And then I'm going to say to the rest of you, America, I'm going to say, this is what I'm saying. What I want you to do is I want you to take that letter that I wrote, and I want you to print a copy. And I want you to send it to these people. And I want you to take at the bottom and you write your own personal message at the bottom with your own hand in pen. And you say, "I agree with this crazy bastard. And I also demand that you honor the will of we the people and do this, this, and that, and blah, blah, blah. And I demand that you account for yourself." And I'm watching. Because when I send these letters, I'm going to say, I'm making this very public on social media. Here's the letter. I think you did these things to the governor of Maine. You are behaving like a criminal. And here are your offenses. And I'm going to list them very specifically. And I'm going to say, I demand a response from you. And I'm going to share your response with everyone in Maine. Because they can't hide then. And I'm pretty sure that will meet with success. Because I think, again, I was doing it backwards. I was looking for the support before I had the right message. So now I'm going to write the message, and I'm not even going to look for the support. I'm just going to say, here's my message. If you like it, echo it. If you think that what I'm saying makes sense and you like it, then you also throw your voice in, and then you go and you ask your friends, anyone you want. You say, I agree with this guy. Here's what he said. He sent this letter to the governor, and he said these things. I totally agree with him. So I printed the letter, and I sent the letter to the governor. And I want you to do the same thing. Now you print the letter, and you send it to the governor. And the governor gets 1,000, 100,000, 500,000 copies of that letter. Guess what happens? Now she knows this is serious. We're all watching you. This is the information age. We all see you. We know what you're saying. The fact that I'm not an NBC News anchor doesn't matter, right? Because I'm here right now talking. All of you who are listening, plus my buddy Darren and my new friend Tiffany, we're hearing it, right? You can link it to your friends. Send an email to your friends. Say, this crazy bastard has a few ideas. I think this makes sense. I like where this is going. I'm going to support him. We get 1 million people all on the same page. I guarantee you we're going to see some results. So, yeah, so I'm busy writing. I'm writing letters. I'm writing petitions. I'm going to even write some affidavits. And I'm going to send them, and I'm going to be very loud. So stay tuned.
I hope to God that you're serious about this and that you're going to stay to this and do this.
I am, brother. I'm as serious as a heart attack. I really am.
It's the best damn thing I've heard out of you in a long time.
Thanks, man.
That's the facts, Jack. What do you got thinking? What are you thinking about there, Tiff?
Uh-oh.
Me, definitely print it out. Well, shit, I'll hand them out. Doesn't matter to me. I will.
You will.
I will support whatever you do.
Thank you.
Running around naked, you don't support that.
What?
Except for him running around naked. We're not going to support that.
Well, I don't know. My dad will support that.
Yeah.
God bless your dad. I want to freaking run around naked. I will. Damn it.
Yeah, that's his favorite line. Either that or I'll shoot your ass. So.
Freaking riot. Well, Dana, I'm so glad that you were here tonight.
Thanks, man.
And let's do this.
Both. Appreciate you.
Yes, let's do this every Thursday, like we will.
I'm gonna give it my best shot. You know, sometimes I just don't have it in me. You know, and that's what I've been going through. And again, it's personal stuff. You know, I don't want to get into it because it's my personal trauma. But I didn't have my house burned down, so I have no right to complain.
That's right.
True.
You know, I had to blow you up.
Yeah.
So we've all got that going for us.
Amen.
Amen to that. All right, guys. Thanks for showing up tonight.
God bless you all.
We got a surprise episode tomorrow coming for you guys for sure. So make sure you guys see that. This will be good.
Love it.
All right. Dana, Jeff, have a nice night, everybody.
For within his here he knows what is the best, to live life, love, and we don't worry about the rest. We are the children he has picked to live on his land. If you think this place is special, wait until we see his plan to be the one we want to serve. In his presence all I heard. If we don't ask, we don't receive. When you're ready, take that knee. Ask of him what you shall be. With his love he showed you me. So many of us pass through this life, always gaining on the nights, never feeling just right, ignoring all the signs to the lights. Walk with your head straight and high, don't let the light go right by, for he has given you direction. It's up to you to please obey that. power you once grounded. So to live in the best, look to your neighbors, they'll pass the test. The rest is easy, you never would have guessed. To be the one we want to serve, in his presence all our hurt. If we don't ask, we don't receive. When you're ready, take that knee. Ask of him what you shall be. With his love he showed you me. Oh, to be the one we want to serve, in his presence all our hurt. If we don't ask, we don't receive. When you're ready, take that knee. Ask of him what you shall be. With his love he showed you me, I'm sure. Oh, oh, sir. Oh, sir. Oh, I'm sure.
The CPSPunisher.com is the app they never wanted you to find. If CPS is knocking at your door, intimidating you as a parent with police standing there waiting for you to talk back so they can arrest you and steal your kids, stand strong, tell them you want to see their warrant, they will leave. Lessons like these can save your family and are exactly what the CPS Punisher assists you with. If your lawyer isn't fighting for your child, now you can research anything and everything so you can be educated on the most up-to-date case law and court procedures. The CPS Punisher has more tools than Home Depot when it comes to recording data from your CPS case. Whether you need a timeline, log your visits, ask a question pertaining to the ADA, the CPS Punisher has it. Never again will CPS have the upper hand when you have the CPS Punisher. Visit the CPSPunisher.com.
We know it's all about the money. We know they lie. We know this is corruption. Does CPS know what they are doing to the children?